On today's episode of What's Going On with Shipping, we have a dam barge update from the Ohio River. Hi, I'm your host, Sal McAlpine. Welcome to today's episode. So, a lot going on the Ohio River outside of Louisville, where we have seen two barges remaining pinned up against the dam at the falls of the Ohio. One of those barges contains corn, the other contains 1,400 tons of methanol. And the process has begun to start offloading that methanol and salvage those two barges. So I'm going to bring you the latest on those barges, what's going on right now, how that salvage is taking place, and then a little background on this area of the river, and also why is there a dam right there, and how it came to be. If you're new to the channel, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, so you'll be alerted about new videos as they come out. All right, let's get into this damn story. So this is the update from Louisville Emergency Management. And let me compliment the city of Louisville and everybody involved here so far, because let me be clear, the information that has been coming out has been fantastic. I have to say, I cover a lot of issues, and this is one of the few times that I've seen literally a press conference where they actually answer questions and information. Louisville Emergency Management set up a website, which I'll show you here in a second. This is the latest news on it. They are doing a great job in providing information, so hats off to them on that. So this is the update as of April 4th. As of 5 p.m. today, only two barges remain settled against the McAlpine Dam. Crews on site have made progress with stabilization efforts in preparations of a safe transfer of methanol from the settled barge to a receiver vessel in accordance with the approved salvage plan. So they're going to pump off the methanol onto another vessel. Once the barge containing the methanol has been stabilized, a plan for salvage of the barge carrying corn will be finalized. That's going to be the tough one, because that barge, and I'll show you, has been heavily damaged and actually is wrapped around a pillar of the dam, which is going to make it a bit difficult to do. The situation is dynamic and subject to change due to river conditions and equipment performance. Updates will be provided as additional information is reported through the unified command structure. They're also testing water. That's going on with the methanol. There's been no issues, as they say right here. Safety of the public and the first responders remain top priority. Water testing on samples collected from 5 locations below McAlpine Dam on Monday, April 3rd show no detectable presence of methanol in the Ohio River. I'll show you a couple of pictures here, then a video. So this is some images that we got from some of the news stations around Louisville. So as you see here, a couple of things are happening, and I'm going to kind of highlight them here on this. So this large barge right here that's kind of sunk, this is the methanol barge. So this is the barge that contains the 1,400 tons of methanol. This is divided into 3 compartments. You can see the pumping facility here on the barge, and then a similar barge right here. This empty barge is what's going to take the methanol off that barge, and they're going to transfer it into this barge right here. This is the grain barge, and you can see how the grain barge is impacted against this dam. And one of the things that you'll notice is some of the gates have been lowered. So for example, the gate here has been lowered. This is why you don't see any flow of water coming out. And I'll show you better images here in a second. This gate here is partially lowered, not all the way. They're still letting some water flow, but they cannot shut the gates here because of where the barge is. The barge is across this 2 areas and impacting the area right here, so you can't really lower the gates here very effectively. And I got to tell you, I'm not sure they want to lower the gates right now, because you see how right now the towboat, the push boat here, has got the barge, and they're pushed up against this barge with the grain on board, which is really hung up across the 2 entrances. It's kind of almost anchoring the barge. I am sure they have anchors out, not counting on the barge alone, but that is providing some stabilization here. And what you'll see is right here is the facility where they can go ahead and offload the methanol. This large crane here is going to be used for putting personnel on the barges, because you still have to work the piping system to get the material off the barges. So here's the view from the other side. So you'll notice these big Tainer gates right here. This gate is open. You see it in the up position here. This gate is partially down. This one is down. It's not up here in the upward position. And this one here is down. You don't see it up here. And so, like I said, it's probably not possible to shut this gate all the way because of the barge right here. This one definitely, it is across the gate. So you won't be able to close, and that means you're going to have that pressure, that water coming over the dam right there. And again, a little bit more of a close-up. You can see part of the gate closed. You still see water coming out here on the right side, but you can see just the torrent of water that's coming out here at that time. I want to play this video from WLKY. I'm not going to have the audio because I want to just show you the images here. So again, great image, and you'll get the dynamic nature of how much water is coming through here. There's a lot of current and force that they're operating against, and one of the reasons why you have to be so careful with it. You can see it spilling over the spillway here, swirling in the area around the dam. If you go over that dam there, you're going to get kind of sucked into this area right here, a little bit of a vortex. So you got to be really careful. So this area here there's a large power plant here, hence all the large high tension wires here. So this is part of the power plant right here. So it generates waters from the falls coming across. And you get the image there with the gates. It's going to be difficult. The corn barge is the least of their problems, to tell you the truth. There'll be a question about getting the grain off and how they're going to get that barge off the position. They'll either have to pull it off or pull it in some way and maybe let it go over the dam. I don't think they want to do that for damage purposes. But you can definitely see, you can almost see grain spilling out here and water coming out, because as the water gets into that barge, it's going to liquefy the grain, and you're going to get a big, huge mash coming out of there. But it's a good image that you get here. Here they are. This is that crane I was talking about where they're working, lowering in to get onto the pumps. They don't want to walk on the barge for fear that the barge rolls, flips. You don't want to be on it at that time, so you want to have a nice safe area to be, an escape area, someplace to operate from. So hence you're using that big crane with the lift and the cage to get down. And this is a really active area on the Ohio River, hence the reason for the construction of the McAlpine lock system there, because you need to be able to get past the falls here. And I'll show you what the Ohio River looks like in this area. So a lot of dynamic work going on here at this time. Another view from above, you'll see them working up on the decks here. I'm going to hold it right there. You can see they have hoses that are hooked into the piping system here. So one of the big issues is going to be, are they going to be able to get all the methanol off? The idea of the methanol barge is it's on a level tilt. It doesn't have a list to it. But this obviously has a huge list to it. So the areas where you can pull the methanol out may not be where the suction is. So you may wind up with pockets of methanol in here, which may require them to put submersible pumps or strainers in there to pull that off individually, and then they're going to pump into this barge right here. So I can take you over to marine traffic with your kind of big overhead version of the area. So when you zoom out of here, this is Louisville right here. And you can see the traffic. Those blue dots there are the traffic coming down the Ohio River all the way up to Pittsburgh, which is under my big melon right there. There's Pittsburgh right there. But we're going to look at the area here in Louisville, and specifically the dam. So here's the entrance again to the canal. Here's the Portland Canal right here that takes you over to the locks right here. And these are the vessels right now that are working in and around the area. So James Garrett, inland supply vessel, working the area. Here's the Queen City. This is actually the towboat, pushboat that lost the barge earlier for Ingram, or the Ingram barges, I should say. Here's the Aussie, another one of these types of push boats. This is the Michael McBride, another tugboat that's in the area. So you can see the vessels working. Here, this image shows you the water at a much lower level than usual, because you can see the full island here, where you can see how this island gets encumbered with water, and you can see all the gates open of the dam at this moment. So this is the site I was talking about. This is the McAlpine barge incident information. Really good. They're posting, again, updates here fairly regularly. They have a great FAQ where you can find out what exactly happened, what's methanol, how are air and water quality being monitored, is the drinking water safe, are there risks? Just, again, a good element here for emergency management to get information out into the hands of the public as readily as possible. So this is from the Army Corps of Engineers, and this shows you why this area is so important. So this shows you the overhead view. Here's the river all the way from Cairo up to Pittsburgh. So you're going all the way from Pennsylvania along the Ohio and West Virginia border, Indiana, Kentucky, down to Illinois. And that shows you the overhead, and you can see where all the locks and dams are. In our case right here, this is the McAlpine Lock and Dam right in Louisville. This shows you the drop in height. So the height here, Pittsburgh, is roughly around 700, sorry, need my glasses, 710 feet, and it drops down to 250 feet at Cairo. And right here is Louisville, and one of the things you notice is a little bit of a hump here. This is the falls of the Ohio. So you have a nice gradual kind of fall down the river here, but then you have it. And the reason you put the locks and dams in, obviously, is for a few reasons. If you have just a straight river with no locks and dams on the system, then the river can fall entirely. With locks and dams, you can hold back water and make it navigable. Remember, the Ohio River is navigable all the way up to Pittsburgh, and it's maintained by the Army Corps of Engineers. This is the history of the McAlpine Locks and Dam. I'll have it in the show notes for you, so if you want to learn a little bit about it. Again, the falls of the Ohio and when the lock and dam came into being. The lock numbering system was established around 1914, and the project at Louisville became Locks and Dam 41. On May 24th, 1960, the name was changed officially to the McAlpine Lock and Dams in honor of W.H. McAlpine, former Louisville district engineer during the years 1917 to 1918. A little bit of history is always a good thing for everybody. So here's the original image, and you can see where the falls were and why the falls were such a turbulent place here. Coming out where you see the current, here's the Louisville Portland Canal. Here are the canal, here are the locks down here. Those are the old locks here and the canal locks. This is the area in question here. And then here's the refinement where they basically put in the whole dam system here to create a flow of the Ohio River, to channel the Ohio River here, to come across the dam here and put in the power plant up here to harness that power for electricity. And then here it is kind of on a navigable chart. And one of the things you see here is this is the area down here where we saw the issue emerge where the Queen City with her 11 barges struck at that time, and then the barges came loose, and some of them went down for the Missouri boat ride. In this case, it's the Ohio boat ride that they wound up going down for. Great view from above. This is looking from downriver, upriver. So over here, this is Kentucky on this side, Indiana on this side. So you can see basically here's the lock system that we have going on here. So here's the lock system. Here is the Portland and Ohio, the Louisville and Portland Canal right there. Here is the upper pool, and here's the hydro plant, and here are the bear traps. This is where the dam and the barges are pinned up. Good look at the locks system at play. Here you can see a push boat, Brimstone, moving barges, and you can see them moving along here within the canal. Here's a couple of coal barges being pushed along with a covered hopper barge. The inland waterway system in the United States is absolutely essential for our trade. And so these are U.S. flagged, U.S. built, U.S. owned, U.S. crewed boats operating in the inland waters, what's called the Jones Act fleet, operating in the inland waterways. So here's the hydroelectric plant, and then here are the dams. So these are those big gates I was talking about. So this gate is hinged up here. You see the arms of it here. They're hinged up, and then with large wires that go up to the top here, you can pull this gate up. And it's shaped kind of, I think it's concave, big outward bulge. And with the water pushing against it, you can pull it up really easy. It doesn't create an inordinate amount of pressure on it to lift it up. And you can see, in this case, both the gates are dropped, and this is actually upriver. This isn't where the barge is stuck. These are further up river by the railway bridge. So I hope that provided a good update for you on what is going on right now outside of Louisville on the Ohio River. Process in place to get the methanol off that barge. Once they remove the bulk of the methanol, they'll begin a salvage plan to refloat that barge, get that barge up. Now, as they pump out the methanol, she should become more buoyant. Since it's not leaking, there shouldn't be any water ingress into the barge. So as they get the methanol out, it should start to float up, and hopefully it comes up. They have to be worried about it rolling. So you got to be careful about it. You just don't want to pump out one compartment. You want to bring it up on an even keel. You have the issue with the water pushing against that barge, forcing it down. So got to be really careful that the barge doesn't shift, roll, and cause a leak. So that's the concern right now, and that's why it takes a bit of time to do this. You have to take a little methanol out, adjust, and keep monitoring the barge. They may need to get in there and lift part of that barge up, put some buoyancy under it to get it up, and so that's why this has got to be a very precise element. Lift an inch very slowly, move it up. Once they get that barge out of the way, they'll deal with the hopper barge with the grain on board. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos as they come out. Leave a comment, share it across social media, and if you can, support the page. How do you do that? Well, you can do that by hitting that super thanks button down below, or head on over to Patreon where you can contribute directly to the channel. Until our next video, this is Sal, signing off.